Today we're going to talk about different ways or a method that you can change to help you break through with your English. Hey everyone, welcome back to the MJ and Adam show. If you might see, we have a different type of Adam today. His name actually isn't Adam, it is Nick.
Yeah.
He might be your Nissan or he might be not your Nissan.
Toto.
Today we're going to be talking about a different way that you can change your English studies, maybe a mindset to help you break through and speak more English. Okay, this is something that has been the focal point for the MJ and Adam show, as well as what Nick is doing with his Chad's program. This key difference in learning is called immersion learning or immersion method.
Immersion is immersion learning, immersion method.
Exactly. So what this is to immerse yourself in that language. Me and Adam have talked about in the past how we learn Japanese. Adam specifically mentioned that when he was living in Canada, he was only watching Japanese dramas. He was listening to more Japanese music. He was putting posters up around his wall of his favorite actors or actresses, and he was creating this sense of immersion in the language to help him better connect himself with it, right? So now, Nick, how did you stumble upon this style of learning, immersion?
Well, immersion is an umbrella term, so it encompasses many different things, which could also be studying, although we don't stress the importance of studying that much because everybody studies anyway. But the biggest piece or portion of immersion is probably input, which is listening. Listening for, I would say, there's no exact number, but at least maybe 4,000 hours of English.
4,000 hours.
Yes, so if you think about a child, when they're a little baby, they listen and listen and listen, and then a couple words come out maybe when they're 2 or 3. Still can speak a little bit when they're 4, but they really start speaking around 5 or 6. So
right, so 6 years.
So it's
input.
You're basically downloading information into your brain through your ears.
Let's look at the traditional way of studying a language, of learning a language. Here in Japan, it is really focused on, I feel like, different levels of learning within the school system in Japan. I've heard recently elementary school students are learning English more, and it's focused on kind of simple numbers, greetings, colors, kind of listen and repeat, shadowing a lot of things, singing songs and stuff. And then it turns into more grammar-focused, more learning about vocabulary, memorizing, and getting good scores on tests when you're in middle school, high school.
Well, we need to differentiate learning a language and acquiring a language.
So, okay.
The Japanese school system is not meant to make you acquire English. You are learning English to certain levels so you can pass certain tests that they require you to pass in order to join certain schools.
Okay, yeah.
Or get certain certificates. So just because you have the knowledge of a language, just because you understand the grammar, does not mean that you have acquired, does not mean that you can listen, you can understand, you can speak. So that's the first thing to understand. So it's study heavy, which is not a bad thing. Like it's not bad to learn the grammar. Although if you guys yourself know, when you learn Japanese, you acquire Japanese before you learn Japanese. Before there was kokugo in your school, you'd already been able to speak and listen, and then you learn to read.
Yes.
So that's the natural progression. But Japan is two different problems. One is studying forever, which is basically reading an instruction manual forever. The other thing is to start speaking when you haven't downloaded any information. So that would try to be opening up some software on your computer and play with it before it's even been downloaded, which is impossible.
What are the things that you can adjust within the normal Japanese way of studying? What is something that you think they can do to add immersion into their normal routine of studying?
Well, if you're not willing to listen to English without Japanese subtitles, and when I say listen, I mean watch a show. Usually watch a show over listening to a radio or a podcast, just because when you have pictures in front of you, you can pick things up. For at least an hour a day, you will never become fluent in English. And even an hour a day isn't sufficient time-wise. If you wanted to acquire English, it's probably easier to listen to 5 hours a day for 4 years than 1 hour a day for 20 years or less. You'll probably forget more within this long period of time.
Yeah.
You're not exposed to it as much. So the more time you put in, the faster you acquire the language, basically. Okay. And it's not years. It's literally hours. That is the easiest way to measure.
To look at. Okay. Yeah. That's a simple, graph that we can all see within our day. How many hours do you...
So if you were studying English or you wanted to learn English, a hobbyist would watch a show for an hour a day in English.
Okay. So if you're doing light kind of study, like, maybe I just want to get better a little bit. Hour.
Yeah. And if you wanted to get really good, like my friend Matt versus Japan, who's much better at Japanese than I am, he spent 8 hours a day for 5 years watching Japanese anime and dramas and speaks as good as a Japanese person.
8 hours a day?
Yes, for 5 years. So even with 8 hours a day, it took 5 years.
Okay, right. Which, in terms of babies, that equals out.
Yes. So the thing with babies and children are they don't have the logical capacity to question themselves or question things that they don't understand. Whereas adults, adults want to know why everything doesn't work or why this makes sense or blah, blah, blah. So that's what immersion is. And immersion also could be speaking in English with somebody, but it would depend on your level. How much English information has your brain downloaded? How much actual words are in your head that you can bring out?
So what do you think is like one major issue that many people have done with the traditional way of studying English in Japan that you should be like, hey, turn that down. Don't do that so much anymore.
As a test or going on a trip where you need to remember phrases, that's a separate thing. But if you actually want to acquire English, if you're still studying after 2 years, you're basically procrastinating, in my opinion.
Ooh.
You're watching a jiu-jitsu class or you're watching a boxing or watching a karate class without actually doing karate. I mean, you could be doing drills. You could be doing output drills. That's a little bit different. You can write, you can do output exercises with writing, but your main thing should be, most Japanese people should be listening to English. If you can understand this video about 80 or 90% with no subtitles, then I would start going to Eikaiwa pretty often. I'm speaking a little bit slower and more clear than I usually do, and you speak very clear for an English speaker.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, so this is not too difficult of a video, I think.
Okay. Those are really good points to, I think, help everyone kind of look at where they are. I think that's a difficult thing for many people to kind of see what skill level you're at, how well you can speak, how much you can understand. So like you mentioned just now, within this video, everyone, if you're understanding, maybe, think about yourself, 80%.
80%.
That's a pretty good, right. Then that's a good enough thing to think about, okay, maybe focus more on than output.
If you're going to understand 60%, 50%, 40%, 30%, anything under that, then you should be listening to English all the time.
Which you can do on the Chad's program that you have. Tell us a little bit about this program, because it's something that I'm interested in, and I think a lot of the people can get a lot of great things out of.
Okay, so what we do is we teach the different methods of immersion. As I said, it's not just one thing, but there are different ways to listen. Now, I'm not saying you can't just put on a podcast and go to sleep and expect that does nothing.
That's magic. That doesn't happen.
Yes, you actually have to pay attention and understand some things.
Okay, so passive versus active.
Exactly, and we give you the different styles of listening. We give you a framework of how you would go from zero knowledge to completely fluent. And this is not like my idea, by the way. I think many people are like, Nick's method of immersion. No.
It's hard. It can be confusing because, you are a Chad.
Yes, I am a Chad, but it's a proven, there are researchers like Stephen Kreshen that this is not original from me. This is a way to do things. In most countries that follow this, everybody is fluent. For instance, in Holland, there aren't many Dutch TV shows because it's a small country. Okay. So they watch American TV shows and almost the entire country speaks English.
Wow. Okay. So there you go. So it's a framework that you have just made specifically for the Japanese audience, for the people who are in Japan studying English, want to get better at English.
And if you are willing to put in the time, you will become fluent in English, just like with anything. But I think a lot of people expect to be fluent in a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years.
Dude, even months.
Yes, which is totally impossible. And there are many fake programs on the internet claiming that they can make you fluent in a short amount of time.
Oh, no, which is soggy out there.
There's a lot of soggy out there. And for instance, the newest thing is you can learn English just by shadowing.
Oh, okay.
No, you can't. You can learn the pronunciation, maybe. It's not a bad skill to have, but it's not magic. You don't learn grammar or learn how to speak sentences through shadowing. That's nonsense.
Right. I think everything is a balance of multiple ways of studying.
Yes.
And when to start with immersion example, and when to transfer from that being, majority of your study to then output.
But output is still immersion. So that's why I said it's an umbrella term. Like if you're an advanced person and all you're doing is Eikaiwa, that's still immersion. You're still speaking in English every day.
Okay.
It just means putting yourself in an environment of your target language. That's all it means.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if it's studying, if it's input or output. Is your entire life engulfed in this language? Are you still watching TV shows in Japanese? Because you shouldn't be. You should be watching everything in English.
Yes. Are you taking an English shower bath?
Yes. Are you jumping in the pool of English?
Oh, man. That little ABC. Are you doing cereal?
Butterfly in the pool of English? Are you doing the backstroke? What are you doing? Are you freestyling?
For everyone to get better with their English, to break through, you need to kind of look at yourself and see where you lay with your skill level, where you are. If you are at a 50% lower, listening is a good thing. Check out the Chads. We'll have a description down below.
Or his videos, which are what we call comprehensible input. You can look that term up. That's a scientific term that I did not make up. But
Okay. Comprehensible meaning things you understand?
Yes. At least you'll understand some things. If you don't understand anything, it's a lot less. There's a lot less results than if you understand some things.
Some things, right. So if you understand nothing that's not comprehensible, you're not understanding.
Yes.
But a little bit is good. There needs to be some challenge as well.
Exactly.
In the way to help you then improve yourself. And if you're someone who is on the 80% of listening and understanding what we're talking about, then focusing on output is a good thing. And hey, I can help you out because I do online one-on-one lessons. So check that as well. I do some Taiken free lessons. So we can check it out and see how I can personally help you with your English and speaking ability and just improve, because that's what we're here to do. We want to give everyone a different perspective, a different way to study English, because we know that everyone has already gone through the Eikaiwas. We've gone through the learning grammar, learning drilling, the flashcards. I see all those, high school kids with the red plastic sheet, studying. And I'm always looking like, I don't know what that word is.
Yeah.
And we say it's a lot just for the test, to pass a test. So depending on your goal, if you want to pass a test, if you want to do ACAN and you want to focus on that, maybe that's your route. But if you're someone who wants to actually speak English, wants to speak fluently in a relaxed way, then I think that immersion is something that you should definitely try.
Yes.
So, hey, Nick, thank you so much for being on the MJ and Adam show. Repping Adam. He wasn't able to make it for today, but hey, we're happy that you enjoyed this one. Leave a comment down below if you've tried this immersion. What do you think about it? And what do you think about Nick's hair today?
Yeah, man.
See you on the next step.